Restoration is perhaps too grand a word for this. I wasn't trying to make the plane look new. I simply wanted to understand what it needed and get it working properly again. This is a small Japanese style plane. A hardwood body, a high-speed steel plane iron, and a chipbreaker. There are very few parts to it, but each one has to work well and correctly with the others. I bought this plane 13 years ago, and as you can see, after setting it up for the first time in a while, it wasn't working very well. First job was to remove the iron, inspect the body, particularly the bed, the mouth and the sole. Before removing any timber, I've covered the sole with pencil marks, rubbing it lightly over a brace of paper on an anvil that is very flat. To remove any of the pencil marks from the highest areas first, it just gives me a clear picture of what is actually making contact rather than relying entirely on sight or assumption. The initial rubbing is mainly diagnostic. Temptation would be to keep sanding and sanding until every mark disappears, but this isn't exactly what I want here. Unlike a conventional Western bench plane, the sole of a Japanese plane is deliberately relieved between selected areas. The whole underside does not need to touch the timber. What matters is that the contact areas are deliberate, stable and properly aligned. Having first established a flat reference surface, I could now begin tuning the sole in a more traditional way. Rather than leaving the entire underside flat, I marked the areas that I wanted to relieve with pencil. You'll notice that I didn't mark the very front of the plane or the narrow area around the mouth, particularly the land immediately in front of the cutting edge. Those are important bearing surfaces, so I wanted to preserve them rather than scrape them away. The front contact area guides the plane as it enters the cut, while the land immediately ahead of the blade supports the timber at the point where the shaving is being formed. Everything between those bearing areas can be relieved very slightly. This reduces the amount of wooden sole rubbing against the work and allows the plane to move more freely. The relief is extremely shallow. I'm not trying to carve obvious hollows into the body. I'm simply removing enough material to ensure that the unwanted areas cannot become accidental high points. The pencil marks give me a clear removal map. I scrape across them gradually, checking frequently and stopping once the relief is even. It is a deliberately cautious process. The two retained contact areas must remain flat and in the same plane because they determine how the blade is presented to the timber. Once the marked areas have been lowered, I check the sole again with a straight edge and natural light, making sure the intended bearing points remain untouched and the areas between them had consistent clearance. I think it's important to check how the chipbreaker meets the plane iron, and in this regard they don't meet actually that well. It's really important in my opinion that the chipbreaker or the cap iron on a standard bench plane meets the plane iron without any gaps whatsoever, because otherwise you will likely get bits of shavings and stuff caught between them, even any minute gap. So here you see that I'm actually just preparing the chipbreaker and flattening on a diamond stone just to make sure they connect really well and have no gaps between them. Moving on to the plane iron. So traditional Japanese plane irons are generally laminated with extremely hard cutting steel supported by a softer steel behind it. This allows the cutting edge to be hard enough to take a very fine edge without making the entire blade unnecessarily brittle. Blades usually have a hollow on the back, which is intentional, so one only needs to clean a narrow area on the back of the plane iron. You don't wish to grind away the hollow or flatten the entire back indiscriminately. I then worked the plane iron through the sharpening stones I was using, trying to maintain the existing angle that I ground it at and keeping the pressure concentrated where it was needed. It's quite easy to rock a short, thick iron and create a rounded bevel. I'm trying quite hard to keep the bevel control while bringing the entire width of the cutting edge into the same plane. Once the burr had formed consistently across the edge, I alternated between the bevel and the back until the burr was completely removed. The polished finish is pleasing, but it's not the point necessarily. The point is that the two surfaces now meet cleanly enough to cut timber rather than crush it. Now to setting the plane up. I'm by no means an expert at doing so. I try my best. I used just a standard pin hammer to actually set the plane up, getting the chipbreaker into position with the plane iron into the actual plane body. Turning the plane over, obviously try and look down the sole of the plane, much the same with using a standard Western bench plane, to try and protrude the blade just so it's coming through the sole of the plane and parallel to the surface of the plane as well. First test cut was a little bit thick, a bit deep, so I adjusted the blade by just tapping the back of the plane just to lessen the depth of it, just to allow it to come out a touch, which works just a little bit of a tap. And then on to just having a little bit of a play with it really. It cut really well, really smoothly, without doing much to it. It was quite a triumph really, quite a joy, something that you don't often get when you work with wood. As you can see, the timber didn't put much of a fight against the plane, but as you may also see, it's just a couple of different bits of softwood. There's nothing special to plane up, but still a very enjoyable experience. At the end, I just got my digital calipers out and had a little check. Just thought I'd see what kind of thickness of shavings we were getting, and somewhere between 0.04 of a mil to 0.01 of a mil, which I was very happy with for something that was just a little bit of fun.